So we're going to look at just 3 observations from this passage from the wise men and some things that they did right. The first thing is it's wise to have Jesus in your house. To sing Happy Birthday, Jesus, before opening presents is wise. It's a tradition. I'm sure that your kids will probably keep that tradition going, and it helps to keep the focus, right? Same way with reading the Luke 2 description of the birth of Christ, and Kenny doing that around the world. I mean, what an awesome opportunity the Lord gave you to do that, and that's wise. That's wisdom, right? So to some people, Jesus only lives in the church, but guess what? He's supposed to live in our homes too, and Jesus, he ought to be recognized not only here but in our churches. And in this passage, where did the wise men go? To the house where Jesus was, and they went into the house. We ought to bring Jesus into our house. So not only is it wise to have Jesus in your house, it's also wise to worship Jesus in your house. When they got there, they saw the babe. How old was he at this point? Possibly. What do you think, Mel? If I say 1 and he says 2, are we going to fight it out? I mean, the reality is the word doesn't specify exactly. But we know he's not still in the manger. We know some time has elapsed. We know it has taken a while, probably a year, year and a half, possibly 2 years, somewhere in that time range. We don't know exactly. Does that matter? If it mattered, it would have been in the text, right? But nonetheless, if you go online and you read scholarly reports, there's a lot of debate about it out there in the world today, and sometimes we make too much out of nothing, right? But what does matter is when the wise men got there, they came into the house, they found the babe, and they fell to the ground and they worshiped him. So not only should we bring Jesus into our house, we should worship him. And I think that's one thing that's missing too much from the homes in America and in our churches today. We don't spend enough time talking about Jesus in our homes. We don't spend enough time worshiping him in our homes. That's one thing that COVID did do. We spend a lot more time worshiping in our homes than we normally do. And that in itself was not a bad thing, right? Of course, we missed fellowship with the church. We missed corporate worship in this place. But we should not neglect worshiping him in our home. So bring Jesus into your home, worship him in your home. And then the final observation from this passage is it's wise to recognize Jesus as Lord in your house. What did they bring to Jesus? Gifts of gold, frankincense. I was at a church before I was in ministry as a parent of a child in the Christmas play. And this one little boy played one of the wise men. It was so funny. They said, "We bring you gifts of," and then the kid who had gold. The kid who had frankincense said, "Frankincense." And the other kid, he goes, "Myrrh." The whole place just about erupted. It was hilarious. Expensive gifts. Gold. Why would you bring gold? It's the best you had, and gold is the universal monetary figure, right? It's always, well, not always, but for a long time, it is the standard for money. Jesus is going to have an earthly life and an earthly ministry. It's going to take money. They brought him gold. Frankincense and myrrh were burial spices, gifts fit for a king, especially one who's going to become the Savior of the world, who's going to be sacrificed on the cross. So they brought these gifts for royalty or deity, gifts fit for a king. And they did that recognizing Jesus as Lord. He is the King of the Jews. He is the Messiah. The prophet said he would be born in Bethlehem, and he was. And we should bring him into our homes. We should worship him there, and we should make him the Lord of our homes. Guess what belongs to him? Everything that we have. In the Old Testament, Malachi chapter 3 says to bring the tithes into the house. The tenth of everything that we have belongs to him in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, we find out that it all belongs to him. We're still supposed to bring the tithe into the house and give back that tenth. But the reality is it all belongs to him. And so he should be the Lord of our lives, and that includes in our houses, in our homes. Every decision that we make at the house should be bathed in what would Jesus have me do. And everything that we do should go through that. So keep Christ at the center of Christmas. Make memories this year with kids and grandkids and those that you have opportunities to, and make traditions. The good thing about traditions is it's never too late to start a tradition. If you didn't have a tradition and your kids are now adults, why not say, hey, you know what? Let's start a tradition this year. Let's do this to make Christ more central in our celebration, and keep Christ in the center. So that's all I had for tonight, and I appreciate everybody telling stories. That's all. That's fun, isn't it? We ought to do that. Share what the Lord has done for us, right? The memories that he's allowed us, everything. And I'm gonna ask Mr. Kenny to dismiss us in prayer and ask us open up our business meeting and ask the Lord to be with us as we go into business.